we are going to learn how to solve a quadratic equation using the factorization method. And to go through this particular method, we are going to use this example. And we are also going to go through a couple of steps. So if you have any equation, any quadratic equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, the first thing you would want to do is to find the product of a and c. So a, which is the coefficient of x squared over here, and then c, which is the constant. We're going to find the product of the two. So that's going to give you a times c, which is basically ac. Now, after finding the product of a and c, move on to our second step, where we find the factors of the product obtained. Okay, so the product obtained is ac. Find the factors of ac. Okay, so for this particular equation, the coefficient of x squared over here is actually 1, just that in mathematics we don't write 1x squared. Okay, so if 1x squared, if you have 1x squared, it's the same thing as x squared, right? The same thing applies to other variables as well. So if you have a, it's the same thing as 1a. If you have 2c, the same thing as, sorry, if you have c, is the same thing as 1c. If you have x cubed, is the same thing as 1x cubed, just that we don't write the 1. Okay, so this is the same thing as 1x squared. So basically the coefficient of x squared here is just 1, just that we don't write the 1. Okay, so you take the 1, then you take the 1 over here. They are all positive numbers, so you multiply them, that's going to give you 1. So this 1 we have here is our product obtained, which is the AC, and we are supposed to find the factors of this 1 here, right? And that's going to give us just 1. 1 is the factor of 1. There isn't any other number. Okay, so we are basically done with the second step. Now we move on to the third step, where we find two numbers out of the factors. Okay, so the factors of 1 we had over here, we just look for two numbers out of those factors, and then those two numbers should be such that if we multiply them we get the c, which is the constant. Okay, so if we compare the equation we are solving to ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, by comparing them based on their positions, we can conclude that a equals 1. That is, this a, comparing it to the coefficients we have over here. So this is x squared. This is also x squared. The coefficient of x squared here is 1, which we showed over here, right? So maybe let me, right, so the coefficient of x squared here is just 1. Then the coefficient of x squared here is a. Okay, so by comparing them based on their positions, we can say that a equals 1. Then the coefficient of x here is b, coefficient of x here is 2, so b is going to give us 2. This is c, this is 1, so the value of c is 1. So these are values of a, b, and then c. So the factors of 1, the two numbers we are picking from the factors of 1 should be such that if we multiply them, we are supposed to get c, right? Multiply them, we're supposed to get c. Now, here's the case that the factors of 1 is just a single number, which is 1. Okay, so if it happens like this, you can actually use this one for countless number of times, right? So basically, you can use it twice. So the factors of 1 we are going to use will basically be 1 and then another 1, because we only have a single factor of 1 here. In subsequent examples, which I will show in probably the next video, where you have a lot of numbers for the factors of the products you got, you can use a variety of numbers, right, based on the one that suits your question. Okay, so you're going to use 1 over here. So um, 1 times 1 is going to give us 1. So the two factors of 1 we're using is 1, this one, and then this one. Okay, so if you multiply them, you're going to get 1, which is basically C, as we have over here. Then if you add them together, we are going to get 2, which is B. So 1 and then 1 suits the numbers we are looking for as far as step 3 is concerned. Okay, as far as step 3 is concerned. So we are going to make use of those two numbers, which is 1 and then another one. So after getting those two numbers, we move on to step 4, where you basically break down the bx. Bx is the 2x over here. So you break it down using the two numbers you obtained. Okay, so that's going to be 1x plus 1x plus, again, we don't write 1x in mathematics, so that's just the same thing as x plus x. So you break 2x down to keep this, and you put them in brackets. So you're basically grouping them such a way that you can factorize. So you group them, you group, put this in one bracket, and then this also in another bracket. Same thing applies to this and this. Okay, so you have it like this, you group them, and you move on to factorize your two groups. Okay, then you end up with this. When you get here, what you're supposed to do is, because you now have two groups, right? And then these two groups is equal to 0. You usually, what you do is that you pick each expression in each bracket, okay, and then you equate it to 0, and then you get a value of x. But in this case, the expression in the two brackets are the same, so you just pick one of them and then you solve the linear equation. Then that's going to give you x equals -1. So basically, that's how you go about a quadratic equation when you want to use the factorization method. So just to recap, this is how your workflow is going to be whenever you're given a question like that. So you have your question here, proceed to do whatever you're supposed to do following those steps that we've gone through. Okay, so yeah, that's where we this is the answer we have for this particular question. Do you want to put any question you have concerning this? It doesn't matter how basic it is. If you don't understand anything concerning this particular method, you can drop it in the comment section, and then I can probably make a video about that, so we get the understanding we need. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video, probably a video solving other examples of quadratic equations using the factorization method. Okay, so I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.